Nvidia stock year to date is up nearly 27%, and from its year to date low, the stock is up nearly 86%. Now, on today's episode, what I want to do is take a closer look at some recent news impacting Nvidia that you should know about. So, let's take a closer look in today's episode.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for their subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
All right, so if you're not familiar with this channel is the best place you're going to get any AI semiconductor news. My biggest position is Nvidia, and I've been talking about this stock for numerous years. Now, Nvidia is one of those stocks that I've said is great for the patient investors. The semiconductor market always gives us opportunities. Now, the question is, do we take those opportunities when they are given? Unfortunately, those opportunities happen during downtimes, and some of those perfect examples were on April 4th, and here we can see kind of on April 21st, where the stock was sitting at below $100. The great thing is, you can look here in this channel, we can see on April 6th, Trump tariffs will not stop Nvidia from making millionaires. We can also see here on April 7th that Nvidia stock just bottomed, and here on April 21st, Nvidia stock plunges after Amazon data center news, where I talk about fake rumors that Nvidia investors should ignore. So if you want the best Nvidia news around, make sure to hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button. Now, the first thing I want to take a closer look is some recent, maybe bearish noise that could be impacting the stock right now. So if we look at the company's SEC filings, they did recently post some more sales of security by top management. And if we look at the actual management, Jensen Huang continues to sell Nvidia shares. This is the CEO of Nvidia. And you might look at it and say, wow, this guy is letting go of stocks and he's extremely bearish or something for the stock. But all these sales that are happening are part of we can see they're part of a trading plan adopted by Jensen Huang on March 20th of 2025. So Jensen did mention he was going to sell some stocks, but even if he sold all the stocks that he wants to sell, he's selling less than 1% of his total position. This guy owns so much Nvidia and is a multi-billionaire thanks to this company, and is only selling a small amount. Again, not even 1%. So if you hear bearish sentiments toward this, I would say just ignore it. Now, kind of talking about the Chinese market, we are hearing reports that US officials are saying that we want China buying our chips, talking about the H20. So recently, we heard from Nvidia and other semiconductor companies that they are able to send certain AI chips back to China. Certain export restrictions, the restrictions are still there, but they're getting the licenses approved. And that's for Nvidia's H20, which we know is a multi-billion-dollar opportunity for them on the year. Jensen Huang has mentioned this is a $50 billion market for them, where they do have a nice amount of market share. So this overall kind of gives us a great indication that this US chips trade that they have with China will at least maybe stay intact for a little bit longer. I think that's always the risk with this current administration is 1 week we might have it on, 1 week we might have it off, but the current commentary that we have right now is it definitely seems like it's going to be on, and the H20 is a huge opportunity for revenue for Nvidia. Now, following those reports, we've also heard on July 29th that Nvidia orders 300,000 H20 chips from TSMC after Trump export reversal causes surge in demand. So based on some sources identified, Reuters said that Nvidia currently has an inventory of about 600 to 700,000 H20 chips, with 300 on order, set to bring its stockpile in line with the total amounts sold by the company in 2024. So this is actually extremely bullish for the market, right? If in theory you're selling these chips for about $10,000, that's already a nice amount of billies coming out from just this Chinese market in general. Now, I would say something that could be happening right now is Chinese players could be fearing that in the future export restrictions might pick back up. So they want to place a lot of orders right now just in case anything happens or anything changes in the upcoming months. So they want to order as much and get as much as they can as possible. Now, following this, Jeffries has now estimated that Nvidia currently has between 600 to 900,000 units of its H20 GPU in inventory, while the demand from China for these AI critical chips currently persists at around 1.8 million units. Of course, the yawning demand supply gap for the H20 GPUs in China is likely to be filled by Nvidia's upcoming B30 chip, which will start getting shipped to China in the fourth quarter of 2025. As such, Jeffries has also now raised its China-specific AI capex estimate for the ongoing year by 40% to 108 billion, while hiking its capex estimate for 2025 to 2030 by 28% to 806 billion dollars. So if this stays intact, right, this opportunity for Nvidia to send chips to China, you have the H20, which we've talked about numerous in the past, and we have the B30, which is expected to come out by the end of this year for the Chinese market. So these are great indications, and it's just kind of more of evidence that these markets can definitely be a nice revenue booster for the stock. Now, in the past week, we've kind of saw earnings from Google Cloud, from other players kind of talking about the AI market and increasing AI capex. This week, we also do have some other earnings that I think investors are going to want to consider, right? Let's see if we can find it here, but tomorrow we have Meta and Microsoft reporting earnings. That's going to be crucial for the AI space. We have Amazon, I would say Apple, but I don't think Apple is crucial for the AI space or for anything in general, if I may be honest. But we do have more players heavily spending in the AI market that are going to be reporting this week. And the commentary they give us can even give us more indication of what's happening in the AI industry. Vertiv tomorrow morning can also give us some indication of how the power solution is happening here for Nvidia. Now, the next topic that I want to take a closer look is the EU and US trade deal, right? This is we've recently heard, and it kind of many people have seen as it's been extremely bullish for the semiconductor industry. And luckily, we do have some updates here. So the first thing is there is a ceiling of a 15% tariffs on all goods from Europe. At the moment, the 15% ceiling would also apply to any potential future tariffs on pharmaceuticals and semiconductors, including those based on Section 232, until the US decides on whether to impose additional tariffs on these products. They will remain subject only to these tariffs right now. So right now, the United States is working on some form of gathering of research and information of the supply chain. And if it does happen, it seems like the 15% will only hit on any future potential tariffs there. So we don't know if they will get tariffs, but if they do, it seems like it's capped to some extent, and that can obviously be very bullish for companies like ASML. I personally believe there are a lot of semiconductor equipment companies that come out of Europe, and those in theory, equipment players should not be tariffed. Now, if there are more chips for the consumer market, that's a whole different story. And maybe there might be some tariffs pushed there, but definitely some excitement for the semiconductor equipment space. Now, inside this deal, something I didn't see, but Reuters did mention, is that the EU will also purchase roughly 40 billion euros, which equate to about $46 billion of US AI chips. So we are seeing kind of this sovereign AI and these massive investments coming from Europe. Now, the question is, we do know that Europe was already investing in AI. Are these an extra additive $46 billion, or is this just part of what Europe was already about to spend? And I don't think we'll ever get the answer, but there are some more reports that Europe sets its sight on multi-billion euro gigawatt factories as it plays catch up on AI. So Europe, the two biggest players in AI market right now are United States and China. Those are the ones that are really spending money in this industry. Europe has yet to really start moving. I mean, you have some small players in the vast Europe area, but it seems like they are starting to wake up. If they do wake up, that's obviously a huge bullish opportunity for companies like Nvidia and AMD. So yeah, that's all what we have here for Nvidia recently. I think this week is going to be another crucial week, as you have kind of, like I mentioned, that Meta, the Microsoft, We have the bullish sentiment for the Chinese market, and we do have that bullish sentiment from the EU-US trade deals and the potential of them buying more AI chips, which can all easily trickle down to Nvidia. So throughout the upcoming days, we'll be covering some of these amazing earnings, so make sure to stay tuned. Take care, have a good day, and see you all next time.